Welcome back to the channel. Won't you do me a favor real quick? Go ahead and hit the like button. And if it's your first time being here, go ahead and hit the subscribe and the notification button. None of this stuff hurts you in any way, but it helps me out a lot. Alright, today we're working on my son's 98 TJ. As with almost all Jeeps that are ever bought by anyone, there's two modifications done first. One, a light bar, which they had put on here, but they removed before they sold it. The other one, larger tires and wheels. Okay? The problem with this Jeep happens to be that the tire and wheel combination they chose does not actually fit very well. As you can see, they're running a 31 10.5 tire on a 10.5-inch wide rim, and so the rim actually sticks out wider than the tire because the tire is ballooned out to fill the space. Now, the other issue you may have noticed is that these tires are now completely bald. I'm sorry about the light coming through the trees. The wind's blowing a little bit, moving stuff, and whenever I move, light comes in, changes it, and I apologize right now in advance. The other thing that they did was when they put the wider tires and wheels on it, they also changed to a flat fender flare. All right, so this Jeep is an SE, okay, which means that it came with the 2.5 5-speed, okay? Now, 4-cylinder 5-speed Jeeps are everywhere and they're pretty cheap. A lot of people modify them. A lot of people go through, put their LS in it. Some of them switch out to the 4.0. Either way, this one currently is stock. From the factory, it would have came with a 215 75/15 tire. 27 inches tall, 7-inch section width. Got good gas mileage. Sucked in the mud. There you go. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to put the 235 75/15s on there, which are 29 inches tall, 9-inch section width. Not real bad on the gas. Still gets some more height. The current tires that are on it are a 31 10.5/15. They are bald. They're on a 10.5-inch wide rim, which is ballooned out. So now this tire is actually barely 30 inches tall. So we're really not going to lose any height because remember, when we put the 235 on a different rim, these rims right here, a factory set of 15x6s, it's going to squeeze that tire down a little bit and give it just a little more height. So we're not losing any height. We're sacrificing a little bit of width. We're gaining gas mileage, and this is a daily driver. It will still be plenty capable off-road. Now, there's nothing fancy about these wheels. We picked them up off of Facebook Marketplace, $30 for all four. They're not rusted, they're not dented. People had them on their Jeep when they bought it. They took them off for bigger tires and wheels. They're going to fit our purpose perfectly. So as you can see, the 31 10.5s that are currently on his Jeep do fit these flat fenders, flares pretty well. However, when we put the 235 on there, the 235 is not going to be wide enough to fill this flat fender. Plus, we've got a large gap here now that just doesn't look right. So to take care of that, once again, Facebook Marketplace to the rescue, a full set including the little front fender extension piece, factory fender flares, $15 for all 6 pieces. They're not damaged in any way. The people pulled them off for a set of fender flares off of a Sahara that were paintable. These laid on a trailer in the sun and basically faded. We're going to clean them up, give them a little bit of a paint job, stick them on his Jeep with the narrower tires, maintain a good, clean, traditional Jeep look. Now we've already got the fender flares washed, hot soapy water, wiped them down with acetone. The next thing to do, give them a little Poof Cam Picasso, a little Rattle Cam Rembrandt, little cheap Jeep update right here. All right, there we go. One medium coat, okay? It's not too heavy, not too light. Basically, all we're trying to do is bring some color back to it. Right now, they appear to be gloss. The paint that I'm using is a Krylon Fusion paint. It is specifically designed to be used on plastic because a lot of paint will not adhere to plastic. These fender flares are ABS, and it has a satin finish. I prefer the satin. It gives a little bit of a sheen, not like a flat black, but then again, you don't really need high gloss on it. And in the event that these ever get scratched, scuffed, tree rubbed, rock rubbed, anything like that, in the future, all we got to do is go to the store. Doesn't matter what store it is. You can go to Lowe's, Home Depot, Walmart, doesn't matter. Pick up another can of paint. There you go. Fix them right up. All that's left to do is finish the other 5 pieces, get them on the Jeep. Alright, so with all the fender flares and the extension now painted and drying, next thing we need to do is address these wheels. We've got to clean these up, get all the wheel weights off of them, valve stem out of them. First thing we need to do, get this center cap out. Now remember, these are factory wheels and every manufacturer has a different way of doing this. Most generally speaking, there are 2 to 3 screws on the back side of the wheel that hold your plastic cap on. These particular ones for this Jeep, 3 either 5/16 or 8mm headed screws. Simply pop them out. Usually not very tight. If they are tight, you run a risk of snapping them off. If that happens, there's not really a whole lot you can do, but just like that, and the original cap is out. Now, I highly recommend that if you are going to reuse these, as soon as you take it out, you take those 3, 4, 2, whatever screws, put them right back in the cap so you don't lose them. Okay, so with the wheel cover off, the next thing we need to do before we can really get these good and clean is get the wheel weights off of it. Now, you can get them off with a regular pair of channel locks. At the tire store, they have a special tool that puts these on, has a little bit larger throat depth on it. A hook on one end that'll actually pry those out. Me personally, I have found that a pair of fencing pliers works pretty much the same way. Hook it in to the little slot on the back. This one's a little bit larger wheel weight, so the hook isn't all that great, and they just pry right off. It is a little bit better to use the actual tool, but there's always more than one way to eat a possum. Now we got the front done. Next thing, flip it over. Depending on whether your wheel was dynamic or static balanced, you could have weights on the front or the back. You could also have tape weights inside of here. Thing you want to do is make sure that all of those weights are removed, because while you are going to have these rebalanced afterwards, you're not going to have the same tire on there that these weights balanced. Now with the cap, all of the wheel weights off, the last thing we need to do before we can really deep clean this wheel and get it painted is to remove the valve stem. The easiest way to do it is to go to the inside of the rim, just so you don't accidentally leave a scratch. Cut the back side of the valve stem off, pull it out, and there we go. This wheel is now ready to be completely cleaned, possibly sanded, scuffed up, and repainted. I'm not totally sure how well this is going to be picked up on video. I'm not finished with them yet. I need to give them a second coat. What we did is I painted the outside of the rim with a matte black. The center portion of the rim is a matte gunmetal gray. I guess you might be able to see it a little better here because of the lighting, but there we go. That's what we're getting now. We just got to get the tires, wrap them up, put them on.